I'm Loud Esmond with your USFL picks for Week 10. But first, a note in general about my frustrations with betting on the USFL. The continuing problem with the league is they're just not giving us information on injuries and player replacements and what's going on during the week, before the games, and now even in games. Like last week, Kyle Slaughter goes out, or is it Slaughter goes out of the game for the Breakers, and there's a backup quarterback in, and there's no mention of what has happened to him, why he's off the field, and then the backup quarterback seems to hurt something, a wrist, an arm, a shoulder, who knows what, and then he goes out, and then Slaughter comes back in. Slaughter, whatever, barely can move, and he's back in the game, and no one in the broadcast booth bothers to say anything about what's going on with the injuries. I am screaming at the TV, what the hell is happening? And do we get any information? Nope. Do we get any information during the week? Nope. I got so frustrated, I sent an email to the head of media relations for the USFL, and thank God I did, because the response I got was nothing. Wow. Just wow. It's going to be really hard to continue to bet on USFL games if they don't start getting more transparent about injuries, because obviously those of us that bet know injuries play a huge role, and we need that information, and we're not being given it. All right, let's get on to the picks. I've got two games I'm just not doing picks on this week, and I'll explain why. The Generals and the Stars, and the Maulers and the Panthers. In a weird twist of fate, the Generals and the Stars are going to play in a meaningless game this week, and then they're going to play each other again in the playoffs next week. Now, what this tells me is they are not going to show nothing about their real game plans against the other team. They're going to play vanilla offense, vanilla defense. They're not going to show a damn thing in terms of what they really want to do. And guess what? That means who knows what could happen in this game. Who knows who's going to be playing? Who knows what kind of game plan they're going to have? Who knows? I don't want anything to do with it. And then in the Loser Bowl, the Maulers and the Panthers play each other. Snore. Well, the Maulers and the Panthers, I think, have 3 wins between them on the season. Sorry, I don't like putting action on bad teams versus bad teams with nothing to play for. Who the hell knows what's going to happen? So I'm staying away there. In my first pick of the week, we've got the Birmingham Stallions and the Tampa Bay Bandits. Look, the Stallions are comfortably in the playoffs. They're 8-1, but they were 8-0, undefeated, going into the game last week against the lowly Houston Gamblers, and they lost. Now, normally you would think, okay, you're in the playoffs. Great. Let's rest your players. Let's get healthy. This game doesn't mean anything. But I don't think the head coach, Skip Holtz, is going to want the team stumbling into the playoffs, having lost 2 in a row or played poorly 2 games in a row, and then have to take on one of the hottest teams in the USFL when they have to play their playoff game. So I believe that you're going to have a really sharp week of practice. He's going to play the starters at least until they're comfortably ahead. He's going to want to give them some confidence going into the playoffs and some momentum. So I like betting on the Stallions here. Look, they're taking on the Tampa Bay Bandits, who are very bad, especially where it matters in the USFL, and that is in turnovers. They are minus 13. Their quarterback, Jordan Ta'amu, is a turnover machine. The whole team is a turnover machine, and they barely take the ball away. Worst at minus 13 in takeaways, and so I like the chalky team here, the Stallions, at minus 3.5. Now, I'm going to say the exact opposite when it comes to this game between the Breakers and the Gamblers. Look, the New Orleans Breakers are assured that they have a playoff spot, and the Gamblers aren't very good. But the Breakers are injured all over the place, and especially at quarterback. As I said at the top of the broadcast here, Kyle Slaughter went out of the game. He's their QB. He is a leader of the team. He's very important to that offense. And then they brought in a backup quarterback, and the backup quarterback got hurt. During the broadcast, although they didn't tell us what the injuries were, they did say from a sideline reporter that the next person who could go in at quarterback, if neither one of those guys could go, would be a wide receiver, and they weren't sure which one it was going to be. Sloter has been injured all season, and the backup quarterback, I don't even know if he's able to play. He never went back in. So I'm thinking New Orleans is going to have to rest at quarterback. I don't know what they're going to start there. And so do I love the Gamblers? No, in general. But in this spot, yeah, I'm going to take the Gamblers to cover the 3.5. So here you go. Stallions minus 3.5 against the Bandits. Gamblers plus 3.5 against the Breakers. And then the bonus pick here, championship odds. Okay, the Philadelphia Stars are plus 375. I'm sorry. They are plus 9 in the turnover ratio. Turnovers have been huge in the USFL in terms of who's winning and who's losing. So if you put $50 right now at plus 375, you could get a return of $237.50 if the Stars win. And let's face it, who the hell knows what's going to happen? It's the USFL. I mean, teams have come from wild card positions in the NFL and won 3 or 4 games and won a Super Bowl. In this case, all the Stars have to do is get past their conference game, and they're in the championship because there's only 2 games to be played after this week. So all they have to do is get in. They get past the one team, I believe it's the Breakers that they're going to play, that are the second longest odds at plus 300. And who knows? The turnover ratio falls in their favor, and they end up winning the whole thing. So Philly Stars plus 375 is where I'm going to go right now, at least who's going to win the USFL championship. All right, those are your USFL picks for Week 10. USFL picks, easy for me to say. I'm Loud Esmond. Thank you.